The Odyssey leading up to its release was getting a lot of hate from that side of the internet, but we don't care about them. Christopher Nolan did it again. Just keep giving Christopher Nolan blank checks at this point because this man's resume is insane. But we are talking spoilers, so if you have not seen this movie yet, come back later. The Odyssey is a movie that I have been waiting for a very long time. And I had the privilege of going into this movie not knowing anything. When I was in high school, we never read the Odyssey. I think we read the Iliad. Definitely didn't read the Odyssey. So going into this movie, I knew absolutely nothing about this story. Christopher Nolan is my favorite director of all time. That man is the GOAT, in my opinion. Oppenheimer, I believe, was the first movie I reviewed on this channel and I gave a 10 to. So if you can't tell, going into this, I was really excited. I didn't like everything about this movie, but it is a lot that I love and it's a lot to talk about. So let's get straight to it. Every single cast member in this movie delivered, in my opinion. Matt Damon is one of my favorite actors of all time, and his performance as Odysseus is probably one of the best that I've seen in his already legendary career. And I feel like it's pretty safe to say I'd imagine he's going to have a very busy award season. I am a proud Tom Holland hater because I'm in love with Zendaya, but I give credit where credit is due. There's a few people on the internet that are trying to say that Tom Holland was the weak link of this movie, which to me, that is absolutely insane because he really surprised me. I thought he did a great job and I was surprised because I felt like he was able to keep up with both Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway, who I'll talk about that queen's performance in a second. I love that woman. But for me personally, this was easily the best performance that I've ever seen from Tom Holland. Now, granted, I've only seen him in MCU related projects, but I wasn't expecting him to have such a big role in this movie, but he absolutely killed it in my opinion. And for me, as a hater, this showed me that Tom Holland is actually more than just Peter Parker. Robert Pattinson continues his legendary streak from the films that this man has done the last 2 years and what he's about to do next year. This man's resume is insane, but we'll talk more about him in a second. Jon Bernthal. There are some people on the internet that are also saying that he was one of the weakest links of this movie because he plays the same character in every movie and TV show that he's in. But let me tell you something. I don't care. I love Jon Bernthal. I thought he was good in this movie. John Leguizamo, I'm sure I pronounced his name wrong. I'm sorry, but that man is a legend. I've been watching him since I was a little kid. Elliot Page had one of the standout scenes to me towards the middle end of the movie. Himesh Patel, I just wanted to shout him out and give him his flowers because with the marketing leading up to this movie, I feel like I've barely seen him and he plays a pretty big role in this movie. So I just wanted to shout him out. I remember seeing him in Tenet and a few other projects, and I hope to see him in even more movies. And when it comes to the women in this movie, one of the best looking casts that I've seen in a minute. I mean, we talking about Zendaya, Anne Hathaway, Lupita, Charlize Theron, Mia Goth. I'm knocking all of them out the park. And like I said earlier, I love Zendaya. I would abandon my family just to be with that woman, but I keep it real. I don't think she's a great actress. I just think she's good. Like in this movie, don't get me wrong, she's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. She's hardly in this movie, but she wasn't bad by any stretch. But she was probably one of my least favorite performances. And then we get Lupita, Charlize, and Mia Goth, and they all have pretty limited roles, but I feel like Lupita had the best performance out of those three. Like I've seen again on the internet, people are saying that Mia Goth is one of the weak links of this movie, and I'm like, how can you even say that? She barely did anything in this movie. I feel like when I was watching this film, when I was in my seat, I feel like I said, oh my God, more times than she spoke. And then we get to Anne Hathaway, my MVP of this movie. Anne Hathaway was my favorite performance of this film. I thought she did such an amazing job as Penelope, and she stole the show. Well, I'll take that back. Matt Damon got her at the end of the movie, but almost every single scene that she was in, she stole the show. The pain that she was going through in this movie, you could truly feel, like I fully believed Anne Hathaway hasn't seen the man that she's loved for 20 years. Like stupid people on the internet were making fun of Anne Hathaway's face during this scene in the trailer, which I never understood why. She looks great. She always looks great in my opinion, but that ended up being one of the best scenes in the movie because if my memory is correct, that was the scene where she was talking about the politics that's going on in the kingdom. And Anne Hathaway, she was like, yo, I've been holding this place down for 20 years and y'all keep looking me in my face and telling me that I need to get married so a man can run this kingdom. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. But everyone on this cast deserves their flowers. Again, I think everyone killed it. Even Travis Scott. When I saw that this man was the very first thing you see in this movie, I started laughing. But for what they asked him to do, he actually did a good job. But the visuals, the special effects, the practical effects, the makeup, the costume designs, this is a beautiful film. Like all of the different scenes in this movie of them battling the ocean, and then when you see the behind the scenes footage of them actually in the middle of the ocean, it looks insane. Like I love the fact that Christopher Nolan, at least he tries to use as little CGI as possible. They managed to make a Cyclops look good, which I thought was borderline impossible. Like if you've seen the Cyclops on another TV show or movie, usually it looks pretty goofy, but in here, it looks good. Seeing them burn the city of Troy, watching Odysseus and his crew battle giant warriors, the scene of them in Hades. I know a lot of people on the internet were making fun of this guy's armor. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce what his name is in this movie, but I never understood that because I always thought he looked cool. And seeing him actually in this movie, he looked even cooler. This man's aura was off the charts. But one of the things that I loved about his character was that we saw how ego-driven he was and that he was willing to do almost anything to win. Like I don't remember if it was his daughter or if it was Lupita's character's daughter, but he sacrificed a little girl before he went to battle. And then when we see him in battle, we see this guy, he's this big menacing figure, but then later in the movie when he dies and he takes his armor off, we see he's just a regular looking dude. He's just a regular sized guy. It's almost like he's overcompensating for having a small penis or something. And then the music in this movie made by the composer, I believe his name is pronounced Ludwig Göransson. I'm terrible with names in general. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but he's been in a bunch of movies over the last few years. This man just refuses to miss. I feel like music in movies is one of those things that a lot of people take for granted and a lot of people don't seem to notice, but it plays such a big role. Like with the music that we get in this film, with the visuals that we're seeing, it's hard not to get chills, goosebumps, you know, when your heart's racing with those edge of the seat moments. Like the scene where we hear the music from the sirens, the sound that we get every time Odysseus plucks his bow. Like this is a beautifully shot film with a damn near perfect musical score. But let's talk about the actual story with this movie. The bulk of this film is the journey of Odysseus trying to make it back to his family and the things he had to deal with after his legendary battle of Troy. That Trojan horse scene, when they came out of that horse and they were doing stealth and they were silently killing the guards, and then they opened up the gate so all of their troops can run into the city. That scene almost made me stand up in the movie theater. But also in simple terms, back home, we have this sort of Game of Thrones-like story as Penelope is the queen of Ithaca, but her husband/king has been missing for 20 years. And then you have these suitors like Robert Pattinson's character who wants to marry Penelope so they can have the throne. Tom Holland's character goes on his own journey to find his father, and this movie has a lot of time jumps. It's a lot of back and forth and giving context to stuff that we'll see later in the movie, but the way that they tie all this stuff together brings this movie to another level. And throughout the movie, we keep hearing about these sea people, the evil sea people. These sea people are coming to get us. At the end of the movie, it's revealed that Odysseus and his crew are the evil sea people that everybody keeps hearing about because people are telling stories about Odysseus and his crew and how they're burning villages and how they're murdering people. Odysseus, he's the main character of this movie, but he's kind of a dick. The amount of homes that they destroyed, the amount of people that he and his crew murdered. This man shot a Cyclops in the eye when he could have just walked away. He shot him in the eye for no reason. This man had his crew tie him up so he can listen to the sirens sing and so he could have the moment of being the first person to hear the sirens sing and survive. Dick. Like when it comes to Zendaya's character, sorry if this is extremely obvious, or sorry, maybe I'm just tripping, but I don't feel like her character is meant to literally be Athena. I feel like her character just represents what Odysseus is seeing, or maybe that's just what Athena is projecting into his mind so he can see, because he saw her get her head chopped off, and then he kind of had this awakening moment where he's looking around and he's like, damn, we kind of taking all this too far. And I feel like the guilt, the trauma, whatever you want to call it, I feel like that's just what her character represents. And I feel like that's what we saw towards the end of the movie. So many great scenes, like the scene where they were fighting those giant soldiers with the magical trees. At the end of the movie, during the climax where Odysseus goes full Jason Bourne and kills almost every person in that room. It is so many moments in this movie that I could talk on and on about, but I don't want this video to be an hour long. But oh yeah, the dog. Before I forget, I'm not the biggest animal activist kind of guy, but I do love dogs. Watching that dog die, after they kicked that dog and made it stay outside, and once Odysseus came back to town and throughout the movie they were like, the dog is waiting to see its master one last time before he dies, almost got a thug tear. But it's a lot that I love about this movie, but I don't like everything. I don't really have any major complaints, but it's more just personal taste. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm tripping, maybe it's just a personal thing, but I feel like it was some points in this movie where I felt like it was going too slow. Like when I watched the movie Oppenheimer is a 3-hour drama with no action. It's just people talking the entire time. I was locked in for that entire movie. When I was watching the Odyssey, it was a few moments during this film where I was thinking to myself, damn, I wonder what I'm gonna eat when I get out of here, or damn, I really want to see that one scene again. Robert Pattinson's character was kind of a disappointment for me, but before you kill me, just know it has nothing to do with Robert Pattinson's actual performance. I just wanted his character to do more. His character came off kind of like a punk bitch, which I know is intentional, but it was just points in this movie where his character felt sort of like a high school bully, and even at times kind of cartoonish, like towards the end of the movie where the big climax was happening, when the guy was throwing weapons down and he was yelling out, spear, shield, sword. I ain't really like that. But I did like the scene where he was trying to convince Penelope to marry him, but outside of that, I don't know. And again, it's not because of his performance. I just didn't really like his character. Like, I didn't like his character as much as I thought I would. I love how Christopher Nolan uses practical effects and how he tries to limit using green screen and CGI and stuff like that. But the scene with Cersei the Witch, I could skip that entire part of the movie. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I hated that scene. That was definitely my least favorite part of the movie. Like when she was turning the men into pigs, I was like, what the hell is happening? Like, I was so happy once we moved on from that. During the earlier portions of this movie, I felt like the camera work and the editing was kind of sloppy. Like, it was one scene early in the movie where it had like a bunch of random camera cuts for some reason. And like, I remember I died laughing on the inside during that scene where the dog bit the wild boar that was charging. Like, the standard that I have for Christopher Nolan is really high. And there was some parts that just felt amateurish to me, but even with all those criticisms, I feel like those are kind of me just nitpicking. But overall, I love this movie. As of this recording, The Odyssey is projected to make around $120 million in the US and $257 million around the globe in its opening weekend. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 95% and a fan rating of 97%, and I am right there with the both of them. I'm gonna give this movie a 9, which is an excellent on my scale. The acting, the visuals, the audio, the locations, the costume designs, everything about this film is excellent. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but there were a few parts of this movie where I couldn't really hear what the actors were saying. I know that's a Nolan special. It was one of the boat scenes I couldn't really hear the actors, and it was one of the scenes with Zendaya. I couldn't really hear what she was saying at some parts. But this movie is absolutely amazing, and I'm glad that the losers on the internet that were complaining about Lupita being a black Helen is seeing that in the real world, for real people that's not on the internet, for real people with real functioning brains, we don't give a f. Some people are so stupid, racist, and anti-woke, we all know what that means, that they'll sit and watch a movie where a woman transforms a group of men into pigs. We watch a giant cyclops in a cage, and people will sit on the internet and complain that a black woman is playing a fake character. People complaining about modern day language being used in this movie. Shut up. Anyway, this movie was amazing. I'm really excited because later tonight I'm going to my second viewing with some of my friends. We're going to watch this movie at 11 o'clock tonight. And I know that it's kind of messed up because Christopher Nolan is in this Odyssey wave. He just dropped an amazing movie. But we all know how the internet is, and we all know how we as people are today. We live in a society of what's next. Christopher Nolan recently said that his next movie won't be for at least 3 years. I think he meaning he's going to get started in 3 years. Not that it's going to be finished in 3 years. He's going to get started in 3 years. We don't know what it is. We don't have any information. But all I know, whatever he does, I'll be there. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. We talk about a bunch of different things on this channel. What were you guys' thoughts on this movie? Did you love this movie or did you like it? Because I refuse to believe that people hated this movie. But again, I did not read the book when I was in school. So if you did read the book, how does the book compare to the movie? Which one did you like more? Do you agree with some of my complaints? What are some of your complaints? What did you like? What did you dislike? Let me know all of that in the comment section below. Love you guys. As always, remember to tell somebody that you love them. Until next time, see you in the next life.